I went to church every day for 30 days straight. Actually, it was closer to 52 days, but who's counting? Today, I'm going to share with you my experience as well as 3 key takeaways I learned. For context, my parents would drag me to church every Christmas and Easter, but it always felt really boring and a huge waste of time. Fast forward to today, I'm now 24 years old, and although I still go to church, a lot of times I find myself bored sitting in the pew daydreaming. Well, in March, Lent was coming up. It's a 40-day period in which millions of Christians throughout the world dedicate themselves to a season of fasting, almsgiving, and charity to commemorate Jesus' 40 days in the desert. It ends on Easter, celebrating Jesus' resurrection from the dead. Now, as someone who's really into self-improvement, I've made a ton of videos about building muscle, losing weight, time management, social skills, all these different things. It's kind of like life is a video game, and I'm always trying to find ways to level up my character. And when you look around on YouTube, people are doing all these different challenges, but none quite like this. These days, religion is pretty frowned upon. It's seen as this outdated thing, and pretty much no one my age goes to church anymore. Only 28% of Gen Z attend a church service at least once a month, with inconvenience, feeling judged, or just not believing in it cited as the main reasons for leaving. Well, this seemed like the perfect opportunity to push the limit of my faith, to sit one-on-one with God and ask the question, what's the point of going to church? Will I get anything out of this? Luckily for myself, as a Catholic, we have a service pretty much every single day. We call it Mass. So during the weekdays, I would take my lunch hour and go to daily Mass, which only lasts about 30 minutes. Here are 3 takeaways I learned in this 50-day period. Lesson number 1, God doesn't care about your job or how much money you make. Growing up, I've always been super competitive, and I always compare myself to others, whether it be looks, money, status, and sometimes you just feel like you're stuck, like you'll never be good enough. Especially growing up in an Asian household where if you're not a doctor, lawyer, engineer, you're kind of seen as a disappointment. But as soon as I walked into church, I sat in that pew, I had a moment where I thought, if I sat down on my deathbed and I saw eye to eye with God, I don't think he would really care about how much money I made or how prestigious of a school I went to. Being kind to others, helping those in need, what is truly in the heart is what I think he would care about a lot more. Knowing this fact, this gave me a lot of comfort and peace. Going to church was a time where I could forget about all my daily problems, struggles, anxieties, all that daily BS that goes on in our lives, and focus on what truly matters. Lesson number 2, going to church every day helped me be a lot more productive. Let me explain. You see, every night before bed, I write down all the tasks I have to get done the next day. In the morning, I'll say a prayer and reflect on what I have to do, and usually I'm pretty productive until around the afternoon. I check Instagram, I start scrolling, that turns into 40 minutes, and soon my productive momentum has just eroded into being lazy. So going to church right smack in the middle of the day, it was a great time to unwind, to meditate, to refocus, to maintain some degree of intentionality throughout my day, so I'm not just bumbling around like an idiot. I actually have a plan. I hope that makes sense, but that's how church kind of made me more productive. Lesson number 3, and this kind of ties back to the premise of this video, what's the point of going to church at all? Well, one reflection that bodybuilding champion Mr. Olympia Jeremy Buendia mentioned in a podcast, and this really stuck with me, it kind of clicked. He said something along the lines of he would go and pray to God devoutly when he needed something, when he was in the lowest of his lows, when he was prepping for the Olympiad, dieting, training hard. But after winning, he'd completely forget about God, going out drinking and partying. In other words, we spend so much of our time hanging out with our friends and family pretty much every day. But what if we hung out with our friends and family only when we really needed them, and for the remaining 50 weeks of the year, we just ignore them? I don't know about you, but I feel like that's a pretty terrible friend. In other words, if we can spend so much of our week hanging out with our friends, family, etc., why can't you spend just 1 hour every Sunday with your Heavenly Father? To me, this really hit home. So, end of challenge, key takeaway is church is this outdated, archaic institution that was once central to society but is no longer needed. Well, I can tell you that after this challenge, I really enjoy going to daily Mass, and oftentimes it's actually the highlight of my week. I'm sure we're all dealing with different challenges in our lives, whether it be a breakup or maybe trying to find a new job. Just know that you can always come to church. I highly recommend this, and it helped me a lot, and I think it'd help you guys a lot too. Catholic churches are open to anyone. You can go to service pretty much any day of the week. Even if you're not Christian, you're always welcome. I hope this video helps. I'll catch you boys in the next one. Stay blessed. Peace.